perhaps your friend's husband to powerful men like John Edwards. Why do men seem to be the cheaters? Take a look at this. John Edwards, a high-profile politician who took the low road by cheating on his cancer-stricken wife, has he become the poster boy for infidelity? He fathered a child with his mistress while presenting himself as the ultimate family man. Why did he do it? Brooke Taylor says men cheat because they want intimacy and they are not getting it at home. She's a prostitute at Nevada's Bunny Ranch. She claims that half her clients are in fact married. She says the services she provides relieves tension, which in turn helps marriages. She's here, and you'll get a chance to talk directly to her. Noel Bitterman goes even further. Women, he says, should stop glorifying monogamy. They should de-emphasize sex as a central tenet of marriage and forgive unfaithful spouses who are only doing what comes naturally. He founded what some call the cheater's website, AshleyMadison.com. The site has 14 million members and many are married. All right, before we get into this conversation, a couple things. Wednesdays, generally, we're going to try to do sex and relationships here on this program. It's something that I've been addressing for 30 years on radio and television. It's something that everyone has concerns about, and so we're going to try to put a focus on these topics. Tonight's episode, you might want to get little kids out of the room. I'm fearful it could get a little bit into content that I wouldn't necessarily want young kids exposed to. And again, these are important topics, relationships. Nowhere else than the interpersonal experience, there's so much of who we are and whatever pathologies we might have get acted out. Joining me, Simone, Bienne, sex and relationship therapist and my Loveline co-host. I also have Noel Bitterman from AshleyMadison.com. Now, Noel, you work with a lot of cheating men and women. I just wonder, for starters here, do you have any thoughts on John Edwards?
You know, I think maybe I'm one of the few people out there that might be able to defend John Edwards. I think when you're removed in place and time from your family and your extended family, when you have a number of temptations thrust in front of you, many people give into those. And so I think he's just human like everybody else. And so a lot of celebrities, a lot of entertainers, athletes, politicians tend to fall victim to infidelity more often just based on those opportunities and the removal from their immediate family in place and time.
All right, I want to go, because Simone, I know you've got an engine running at a high speed here, but I want to go right to calls. This is Carol in Washington. Go right ahead, Carol.
Hi, thanks, Dr. Drew. I completely disagree with this ridiculousness. I find that people that are married, especially men, I'm not downing women or just men, but men need to keep their penises to themselves if they want it. If they're saying that they want to marry somebody.
So Carol, to interrupt you, you're saying there's nothing wrong with getting around. It's after you've made some sort of sacred commitment. Doesn't that commitment mean something, right?
Absolutely.
Right. I agree with you wholeheartely.
In the Webster Dictionary, it says it's a unity of a man and a woman. Okay. I think it should just be a unity of monogamy anymore. Monogamy.
I hear you. I know what you mean. Noel, what do you think?
I think the challenge is that monogamy isn't really well negotiated at the outset of a relationship. It's not something that people tend to talk about truthfully. And so they find themselves in long-term relationships, in marriages, and it's nothing they've really contemplated. And so a great book for your viewers to read would be The Monogamy Gap by Dr. Eric Anderson, who really does explain the almost cognitive dissonance that so many men find themselves in, where this self-fulfilling prophecy of love being, able to carry the day, it ends up not being true. It ends up being that you are incredibly attracted to so many other people and you don't know what to do about it, and you are very stressed. And I think one of your upcoming guests is going to talk about that. And so, I think this is an eternal story. Infidelity has been around since we've been in relationships, and it's not going anywhere.
Simone, you and I know strongly different. I'll let you address this. Go ahead.
Oh, dear Noel, I am going to speak up on behalf of women of America, and I'm also going to stand up for men, because men don't want to be this kind of guy. I totally hear you when you say about opportunity. I totally disagree with you when you talk about monogamy. Most men who are intelligent understand the benefits of monogamy. If we talk about the evolutionary basis, the fact is men pee in toilets. They can also be trained to be faithful, and every single man that I have come across who's been unfaithful hates himself for it. Men, I know, want to be monogamous, and if they have these feelings, no one's to say that we can't find other people attractive, but this is about impulse control.
And it's about the richness of a relationship that gets diminished when people cheat. Andy in Georgia, what do you have for me?
Hi, Dr. Drew. I love your show.
Thank you.
I'm just wondering, do you think there's an innate genetic component, and I'm speaking from sort of a Darwinian procreation standpoint, that compels men to cheat and makes it almost unnatural for them to maintain monogamous relationships?
Well, Simone, I'll let you answer that. One aspect of that is I would address that by saying, if you look at every health parameter that you can measure on a male, they're enhanced by monogamy. Life expectancy, probability of certain illnesses, happiness, every measure you can come up with, monogamy enhances that. And monogamy it has a healthiness to it. It has to be maintained. It has to be nurtured. When you diminish it, you injure it and you decrease the probability that you're going to get everything you need from it. Now, in terms of there being some sort of genetic element here, yes, of course, if we were just out we were still, 10 million years ago, we were out in the bush, yes, there's, look at the way other primates behave. There's no doubt that in that environment, when our life expectancy would be not out of childhood, and once out of childhood, maybe 20 years at the most. Yes, then in terms of advancing our genes through time, yes, there's a genetic push for that. A woman has a massive investment in every sexual encounter. It's potentially 18 years of providing for, or at least risking her life. You got to remember that throughout history, 20 to 50% of women would expect to die in childbirth. So we live in a different time now. Antibiotics have unhinged us from this, the hormonal contraceptives, and unhinged us from our biology. So to talk about evolutionary biology, I think is somewhat misplaced. I'm going to go to Virginia in Virginia. What do you got?
Good evening, Dr. Drew.
Hi, Virginia.
Asking a wife to learn how to just deal with her husband's infidelity, to me, is like asking a wife to learn to live in a marriage without trust.
And
trust
so
is like a foundation to a house.
So Virginia, you can't feel safe. You can't feel safe if someone's intimate sort of emotional life is being taken somewhere else. Simone, you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely, Virginia. You made such a good point, because actually, if you go into a monogamous relationship, you have trust, you trust in each other, you have faith in each other, that actually you're going to respect each other, that you'll still, look at someone who's attractive, man or a woman, but it's the sacred union, and whether you're religious or not, that is what is important. And I loved Dr. Drew's point about how men who are in happy marriages live longer.
And not only that, and hey, when everyone's a young screwball, have at it. Don't make any sacred commitments to anybody. I'll talk to you about the consequences of that in a different call Loveline for that. But that's what we talk about, the biological and emotional consequences of that. But once you make a sacred commitment, don't make that commitment if you don't want to. That's fine. Tara in Texas, real quick. What do you got?
Hi, Dr. Drew.
Yeah.
I have a comment and kind of a question.
Yeah.
My comment is that my marriage has survived an infidelity. We've been married 4 years, and 2 years ago, my husband made an unthinkable mistake. And, it kind of really made us both look at ourselves and realize, how do we get here?
Mm-hmm.
And to try to rebuild our marriage from the beginning. And it blessed our marriage. It taught me forgiveness, and, it changed our marriage for the better.
Yes.
I don't know if that happens for everybody. But I guess, a lot of your guests are trying to excuse the behavior as just something men do. But when you think about why men cheat, the core reason typically is, depression or egos or a sense of control. These are deep psychological traits. Why do we keep excusing the behavior as just something they should do when we really should say, look, we really need to treat you and care for you and nurture you through this issue, because it's causing you to do things that hurt people.
Tara, you bring up some great points, and I see Simone vigorously shaking her head. I'm going to allow her to tell you about her clinical experience with this particular issue. I'm going to give Noel a chance to respond to you, though, before I go to break. Go ahead, Noel. Wait, you'll be after the break.
I think what's really important here is there is a psychographic at play. I don't think we should be telling your viewers, though, that somehow it's a negative one, that somehow these people are acting abnormally. The majority of people will be unfaithful at one point or another in their lives. The majority, I think that's important to hear. And they're not just necessarily doing it because some sort of emotional shortcoming. Sometimes they're doing it because of a pure biological sexual desire. And that might be looking for something different than their partner can even give them. For example, married men who want to have a same-sex experience. Their partner can't all of a sudden become that same-sex thing, but that is a real drive for millions of men on the quote-unquote down low. It's hard to explain. That isn't necessarily psychological. That's a lot more biological from my perspective.
All right. Well, we could argue that particular point all day. And next up, I've got Brooke Taylor, a legal prostitute, and she's here to tell you the sex she has with your husband is going to save your marriage. And Simone's going to address her experience with the issues that Tara brought up for us. Be right back.
This is Genco Services, McAllen, Texas. In here, heavy rental equipment in the middle of nowhere is always headed somewhere. To give it a sense of direction, AT&T created a mobile asset solution to protect and track everything. So every piece of equipment knows where it is, how it's doing, and where it goes next.
Welcome back. A reminder that we are taking your calls live at 855-DR-Drew-5, and we're dealing with men who cheat. And I want to remind people the reason we're doing this study is couplefold. One is, listen, isn't one of the big reasons we need to have healthy families is so we can raise healthy children? And for our families to be healthy, that primary relationship has got to be nurtured and healthy. And I will tell you, you cheat, that relationship takes a body shot. It doesn't work that way. If you don't want to get married, don't want to have kids, fantastic, have at it. But this is important. And not only that, in my experience, and Simone, you'll probably bear me up on this, that happiness, in terms of when people, I'm a physician, I deal with people at the end of life. When they're trying to understand the meaning of life, they'll always come to the same place, which is the important relationships and the time they spent, the intimacy they experienced is what created real meaning and happiness. Now, studies show that worldwide, 1 in 10 men have paid for the services of a prostitute. So we're going to look at why married men go in search of extramarital sex this manner. Now, my experience is mostly sex addicts that do this, but we'll talk about it. Before we bring our guest in, Simone, we were talking to Tara before the break, and she had brought up the fact that sometimes after an episode of cheating is sort of unearthed, a relationship can not only get through it, but it can be better. You've had that experience many times with patients.
Yeah, and what is so beautiful to see is that when it happens, what happens is because you're keeping your eyes on the relationship, it means that you can suddenly learn about yourself. You kind of go through psychotherapy when you're in the couple therapy's room. You learn not to act out, you learn to deal with your emotions.
There was something going on that caused the man to act out, that contributed to his acting out. Yeah, something in the relationship.
And with men, they're not taught to have emotions, that it's okay to express themselves, it's okay to deal with any kind of anxiety.
Well, here, things like Ashley Madison tell them, hey, it's okay to just go have an affair. That'll solve all your problems.
And what upsets me about that is the message it's giving to American families. Because, Dr. Drew, you and I both know this passes down the generation. Yeah. At what point is this going to stop?
All right, we're going to talk to another person that has a point of view on this. Her name is Brooke Taylor. She's a legal prostitute who works at the Moonlight Bunny Ranch in Carson City, Nevada. Now, Brooke, you can ring in on this. I understand about half of your clients are married. Is that right?
Yes, I would say about half the clients that come to the Bunny Ranch are married.
And what have you learned about these guys that are frequenting the ranch?
Well, I learned that they love their wives, and a lot of times they just want variety, something new. They're not really looking for long-term affairs. It's just sort of assisted personal pleasure.
Oh, what a relief. They're not looking for a long-term relationship, just sex. Let's take some calls. Go to Jessica in Utah. What do you got, Jessica?
Hi, Dr. Drew.
Jessica.
I am actually with a married man, and his situation is so different because they've been together for so long, and now it's just like her friends, her family, her life.
Wait, Jessica, wait, you're having an affair with a married man, and you're believing the lies that he feeds you about how awful his wife is? Is that what we're saying here? Okay, well, good.
Yes.
Simone, what do you say to that?
When did it become all about her? If it's all about her and never about him, then I can understand why these guys are stepping out.
Hey, Jessica, Simone and I go into rooms and close the door and hear from the couples, and believe me, when you hear from the wife, it's all about him. Right? Wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
There's equally shared dysfunction in a relationship like that.
And the thing is, what you've got to look out for is why are you in a relationship with a married man, because that doesn't say a lot for your self-esteem, and that makes me sad, because how can it be a fulfilling relationship? You're always going to be somebody's second best.
And Brooke, you agree with that, right?
Yeah, I do agree, because a lot of men I see, they're really there to have their ego stroked. They really just want a boost in confidence more than anything else. I mean, they're narcissistic at best.
Wow, okay. Well, that's a pretty honest appraisal. All right, let's talk to Sheila in Virginia. Sheila.
Well, it's true. It's not always, they don't always come in for sex. You know, sometimes it's the excitement that, you know, I'm not going to roll my eyes when they tell the same story that their wife has heard 30 times, 40 times, 50 times before. You know, so a lot of times it is just that, you know, making them feel good, because let's face it, there's stress at home, there's stress in relationships, and sometimes they want to feel special too.
But Brooke, you're going to pretend to listen to them and pretend to make them feel, you know, special. Be honest.
Absolutely. It is absolutely superficial.
Right.
It is absolutely superficial. And they're seeking something in me that they really should be seeking in the relationship. I'll agree with that. But it is what it is.
Do you want to address, I don't have time really for another call. Do you want to address that real quickly, Simone? Because I thought she was saying something very good there.
Yeah, I really am very grateful for actually, Brooke, you saying that, because what men need to do who are acting out, they need to act in their relationship and get into couple therapy where you can make each other feel special and appreciate each other. You don't need to act out. Sorry if I've talked you out of a job, Brooke.
Well, there are plenty of guys that still will give her a job. And she does bring up an interesting point. There are guys that cheat because they are sociopaths. They don't appreciate that people have feelings. It is just about their drives and needs. There are guys that are narcissistic and feel sort of entitled and have trouble with emotions. Emotions don't really have meaning to them, and when they have a need, they sort of feel entitled to acting out in special ways. And there's sex addicts. There are people that were injured in childhood and then act out in all kinds of ways that are hurtful to themselves and other people. More of your calls after this, 855-373-7395. Stay with us.